We're down here at Stanwell Tops on the famous Bald Hill, and behind us is the beautiful Illawarra escarpment. But this area behind us, this beautiful coastal view, is going to be despoilt by over 300 offshore wind turbines that will be up to 300 metres high. These things will be floating wind turbines and experimental technology. It is economically reckless and environmental vandalism. The project does not make sense. Even the Minister, Chris Bowen, when he came down here to announce this project, claimed that these offshore wind turbines proposed to be built would give, in his words, constant renewable energy.
And industries like BlueScope need renewable energy and lots of it, and need constant renewable energy. Offshore wind is exactly that, constant renewable energy. Offshore wind is exactly that, constant renewable energy.
It is very disturbing that the Minister for the so-called energy doesn't even understand the technology behind them. The government's own papers show that these offshore wind turbines would have a capacity factor of a little over 30%. So that means 70% of the time you're getting no electricity from them. And yet we have the Minister misleading the public. As I said, this will be a disaster for the environment. It's not wanted by the local people. It will push electricity prices up and make our grid more unstable.
Craig, there's not much wind around today. Yeah. Okay, so this must be one of those 70% of the time where there's not the very, very still day. Look out at the ocean. But anyway, we're here in the Illawarra. The Illawarra is world famous for the best black coal in the world. It's everywhere. There's 1,000 years of proven coal reserves. Now see that beach down there? The locals tell us it hasn't risen in their lifetime. The records say it hasn't risen since the dream time, okay? So we're doing all of this central planning, ripping up our fantastic coal supply, energy, for a fairy tale. Okay, now the Libertarian Party believes that we should get the government out of the energy market. We need a separation between the energy and the state. And we believe that for at least for the next generation, coal is the answer, okay? Because we do not believe that carbon dioxide is influencing the temperature. We also believe, just before I hand back to you, Craig, when the government, the state government, the federal government declares the Illawarra a renewable energy zone, and that means they can just sort of do whatever they want, and that's where we're approaching that level. We believe that the locals should be invited to have a say. Now, the Illawarra has been voting very faithfully for the Labor Party since Federation, for 125 years. And we're here to say the Labor Party is your enemy, the Illawarra, and the Liberal Party is not much better. If you really want radical change, if you want to get the coal industry back in business, vote for Craig Kelly in the Senate, Libertarian Party, and for the Libertarian Party candidates across Australia.
The other thing, John, this is a whale migration zone. Thousands of tourists come down to this spot and all along the Illawarra coast to watch whales migrate up and down this coastal way. What will happen if you put 300 floating wind turbines with mooring cables down to the seabed in water over 1 kilometre deep? You'll end up with snags, you'll end up with fishing gear, snagging on those mooring cables, and that will become a hazard and a trap for whales. The idea, as Mr Albanese says, whales will be able to navigate around these things, he simply again doesn't know what he's talking about. There are many examples that we've seen in recent years of whales becoming ensnared in cables and ropes. You're going to create a labyrinth out here. 300 wind turbines, thousands of mooring cables down to the seabed, with all the fishing lines and all the fishing gear that's floating around that can potentially capture it, will become a hazard for whales. And when the whales start washing up on these beaches, where will Mr Albanese and Mr Bowen be then? We've got to get back. This madness of this net zero It is destructive for our economy, but most of all, it is destructive for our beautiful natural environment. Authorised by Craig Kelly, Libertarian Party, Sydney.